Needles have increasingly become a part of everyday life. Proper disposal is both difficult and expensive. We have the solution. Simpler, safer, affordable, and fulfills the obligation to protect our environment. A single stick with something like this means tracking down the user, it means blood test for the person stuck, it means possibly medication for an extended period of time. Needle sticks are devastating. No more. Incinerate the needle. Needle goes in this port.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Everybody pile in. What's Irene's, the rest of her, her screen name? Irene, what?
You always talk before it's your turn. I was doing the ad.
Go ahead, do it.
It's already done.
Okay.
Irene Fiasco.
Fiasco. I was going to say Irene Disaster, but Irene Fiasco. Thank you for sending your message to the First Lady of Love, because you coerced her into proceeding and doing a dose today, and we like doing it. So
should I read it?
Sure.
I always feel so at easy, she probably meant ease, when listening to Dose of Dr. Drew. Shout out to my favorite First Lady of Love. Thank you, Irene.
So here we are. So give it a second for people to show up, ask your questions, and we'll get this thing going here. It's interesting. I've started to feel like we are like the French underground here, broadcasting out of our basement.
Yeah.
It really is starting to feel that way.
Pirate radio.
Pirate radio, French underground, something. It's like this little gathering that we do every day to kind of get us through a war, which is kind of interesting. Interesting. Megan, your anxiety is through the roof today. Why? What's going on? My mood is in the toilet today. Let's talk about these things. I think now is when we're going to start to see more symptomatology around our mental health. I really do. Underground Railroad of Information, Jonathan. Nice. I like that.
Somebody noticed you have your headphones on the right way today.
Well, I was just following directions.
I fixed them. They're confusing, but they're adorable. We love our blue microphone.
Yes, we've just nothing but gratitude for what they've done for us here.
Hello, Minnesota. We see you on Facebook. And Knoxville.
So how are we feeling about the high amount of cases per day? So let's talk about the epidemiology for a second. In the United States, we are at 53,000. That's an upper estimate assessment. And I've been saying if we on Friday are anywhere around 60,000, we're doing pretty darn well. 60% of the cases are right now in New York City and the greater New York area. In Los Angeles County, we only have 662 cases. I mean, we are really in good shape here for the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. So LA County is in very good shape. And we are expanding our testing rapidly, very rapidly. So we will see if there's a lot of people walking around who are infectious, but we'll have that information soon enough. So for me, other than what's going on in New York City, which is very challenging, the country as a whole is doing very well. So we've got 25,000 cases in New York, 3,000 in New Jersey, only 2,400 in the entire state of California with, what do we have, 60 million people? That is doing damn well. So I would say we're doing pretty good at the moment. The question is, how do we keep doing well? And I don't know if you noticed Dr. Anthony Fauci at the podium about an hour ago or half hour ago was saying something I've been saying for the last couple of days, which he's going to start to focus on local epidemiology. It makes no sense to talk about a national epidemiology anymore, since there are clear-cut hotspots and clear-cut areas that are doing very, very well. So that changes the way we're going to be approaching this, and I think that makes perfect sense to me. I've been saying it for a while. And somebody just said here, I think chloroquine is the difference between, what did you say, between South Korea and Italy? And I think you're right, or between Italy and us, which is the hydroxychloroquine, the enthusiasm about that treatment is very intense.
Could you bring the mic a little closer to your mouth? You're cutting in and out. We moved everything around.
Cutting in and out. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, when you move to the, just.
Okay.
Thank you.
Atlanta's numbers. Let me look at Georgia's numbers. Somebody's asking about how Atlanta's doing. Let me look at your stuff. Georgia, you're at 1,000 cases. I mean, you know, what do they mean by point of no return? We're all at the point of no return in terms of this thing continuing to percolate along. Whether or not you're going to have a Dr. Agus on Stern was upbeat too. Good, excellent. He's a good guy. That's nice to hear that. Yeah, the local epidemiology is looking pretty good. It's so we need to stop thinking about national epidemiology and start thinking about the local epidemiology. And again, follow what Dr. Fauci says, and Dr. Birx too. She is obviously shown to be quite brilliant in this regard. So between the two of them, they will keep us safe. And it's looking like they're beginning to talk about how to get us back to work as well. So this is all good news. It's still very fluid, as they both pointed out, and still needs to be watched very carefully. And we need to get more data, a lot more data, which we will. Yeah, I heard Cuomo this morning saying that this is you next. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that's true. That New York is a special case in terms of its density and its epidemiology. So we'll see. Let's see what you guys are interested in. Yeah, I heard India's on lockdown too. That is reality nonfiction.
So is Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
They get to go out 3 hours a day. And I said, the person I know in Sri Lanka, I said, why are they letting everybody out during a certain part of the day? Why don't they stagger everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds silly. And there's a lot of people there probably that are going to be.
Yeah.
Everybody does it a different way, I suppose.
You have giant cell arteritis, Aisha. That is a very serious illness, and it's treated with lots of corticosteroid, and so that makes you a risk group for making sure you isolate yourself, for sure. So as this thing rolls back out, you're somebody that has to consider yourself different than otherwise young, healthy person. Let's see here. Amazon packages. You can make a case for 48 hours if you want to really be very, very perfect. But what I do is I open the packages, wash my hands, open what's inside, wash my hands, and then I'm dealing with whatever's inside, all the way inside. So washing hands, again, is still the primary means of prevention, as is social distancing. Anxiety through the roof. Oh, you're in New York. Yeah, I bet, Anna Maria. What are you doing to stay sane there? And how is the sort of feeling generally in New York? Because I bet it's different.
Yeah, I'd like somebody from New York to call in. I was going to have Kat Timp, but we have to clear it through Fox first. But I wonder if there's somebody else that maybe...
People want to know how Russia escaped. We don't know. There obviously is not as much international travel, but though they certainly have plenty. And we wonder if some of the speculation is they're just not documenting what's going on. So that may be. Nantucket Island is locked down too. That's kind of rough.
Can you fly in?
Fly into Russia?
Into Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or?
Travel has not been, brought to a standstill. It's just all down because there's nobody who wants to do the traveling. I saw some social media posts with people on airlines with giant planes with 2 people on it. Again, the idea here, I want to, now that we've got more people on the ship here today, I want to say again that I feel like we're part of the French underground here, broadcasting out of our basement, trying to keep everybody calm down, focused, rowing in the same direction. Because God knows when you go out there and read remember, the commercial enterprises are there to get your eyes and nothing more. And so they're going to get you pretty stirred up. It's interesting how I was talking to Adam Carolla about this today, and he was saying, a lot of the country has could become sort of burned out or circumspect of what they see in the press now because they've been so over the top all the time. So again, which is why you just go to the CDC, you just listen to Dr. Fauci, listen to Dr. Birx, and you do what they tell you. Okay. What questions you guys have? I think, again, I was saying earlier that LA County's in great shape with 600 cases, which is amazing. California's in pretty good shape. We've got 2,400 cases. New York is really the so-called hotspot and needs help. And the troops are coming in. I don't mean literally, but lots of reinforcements for healthcare and equipment. When will we know for sure if hydroxychloroquine is effective or not? I'm going to say the beginning of next week. We're going to know something about it. There will be some kind of report. We already have, I don't know if you've seen Dr. Oz has been going around. He sent me this interview, I think yesterday, he did with a French researcher who had, I hope I'm getting his numbers right, 500 cases, some of them severely ill, on hydroxychloroquine, 0 required hospitalization. zero. So if we can bring the hospitalization rate down to 1%, 10% even, now you're back into sort of influenza zone, and this would just be a bad flu outbreak. So that's the, have we tried interferon or immunoglobulin? Interferon, I don't think has been tried. That's more of an immunosuppressant. Immunoglobulin therapies of various types, convalescent IG is being tried actively. And Dr. Fauci mentioned that at the podium today. Is intimacy okay for people with no symptoms? As long as it's somebody you're living with and have the same exposure risk, I would say.
I mean, we've been together in the house for 2 weeks now, or a week and a half. And I mean, can't we just not be so worried about being 6 feet apart from each other?
I mean, who?
Like you and me and
Well, we're not
Jordan
worrying
and
about
Douglas. I mean, our kids are clearly, but
they're worrying about it because they're worrying about it. That's fine.
I mean, there's a good chance we don't have it now.
Right, but I go out and do a Fox News show every night, so the risk isn't zero. It's just nearly zero.
That's true.
Yeah,
But
and
I
so if
just
they
wanna
want to keep
get
their
it and
distance,
get it
I
over
would
with.
not discourage anybody from social distancing if that's what they want to do, because that is going to be going forward the main strategy to slow this thing down. I still say, like I did yesterday, that I'm worried about elevators. High dose vitamin C, no
Are there
evidence.
elevators at Fox?
I take the stairs.
Good for you.
Do
Do you wipe off the handle before you go on the stairwell?
I wash my hands as soon as I get there.
Good boy.
Shoot, I lost my train of thought now. I'm trying to follow you guys. Different blood types being better or worse. I've seen no real evidence of that. I can't guarantee that doesn't mean anything, but I've seen no evidence of that. Do I recommend someone take hydroxychloroquine by themselves? No, categorically no. You have a physician prescribe it. Again, every intervention has a risk-benefit analysis, and the risk has to be warranted to take any medication. Somebody asked about high-dose vitamin C. Nope, no evidence, though some vitamin C is definitely a good idea just for your overall well-being.
I never take that.
It's a good idea. It's not in, you might pay attention, it's not in a lot of multivitamins. You might want to supplement the C and a multivitamin. Though, taking multivitamins, can be, the big studies on multivitamins show that if you take a multivitamin, you're more likely to die before the person that doesn't take the multivitamin. So, the benefits have been sort of questioned. Let's see. Somebody said Tanya, you said you're in panic mode. Talk about it. Zinc, Michael, has had some benefits. People are adding zinc to the hydroxychloroquine, and zinc as maybe something to help help your immune system. So zinc around 50, 80 milligrams, I've heard, or maybe good. Maybe good. I can't say it for sure, but maybe good. Where are we at with the emergency supply of masks? I'm hearing that is going very well. That the
Asians
garb,
are sending them out.
No, we've got millions of. Apple just sent out 1.5, 15 million masks or something.
good.
So everybody's converting to a wartime economy. Everybody that was making garb for nuclear power plants, making it for hospitals now. Apple, who needed the masks for their manufacturing, bringing it over to the hospitals now. So it's almost like, you think about it when, Ford Motor Company or GM converted to building airplanes during World War II. It's the same phenomenon happening again. What was that, Susan? You were going to say something?
So Hubei, I think that's how you say it, in China was let out under quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Hubei. Oh, it's in Hubei. Oh, that's how you say it. Hubei. It's so that's good news. I mean, I heard that from Colleen Williams this morning, and she said that, they've been let out of quarantine. So it's a start, right?
Yep.
Hopefully it'll slowly leak over to this side of the country or the world.
Somebody's looking for a link on Hydrolyte. Hydrolyte, these guys make this hydration product that you need to use. If you get sick, stay hydrated.
Okay.
They
ran out of the sticks, but they still have the tablets. So let me give you the link.
Yeah, Victoria, hopefully you're right about the hydroxychloroquine making this problem much smaller. Who is closing airports? You said they are closing airports. Is it time to panic? Felix, who I haven't seen airport closures, so I'm interested.
Well, airlines said that they might voluntarily stop flying.
Altogether?
Yeah.
Because they have no business, or because
I don't
they're
know. I
being
just
asked
heard
to?
that in the news this morning. I don't know if it. I haven't been watching the news today because, to be quite frank, I'm a little saturated
With the news.
Yeah, I felt so
Yeah.
much better not watching it all day.
All right, so let's talk about that. I'm getting depressed. Let's talk about our mood. Let's talk about anxiety. How do we prevent, or what do we do with our moods during all this grinding negativity? And for a while I was getting very optimistic about our government and how they were responding to this, and they were helping the American people. And then, oh, there they go again. Now they're back to their old politics. Fantastic. So I found that depressing. I found it depressing that people can't talk about positive things and looking forward to things without talking about somebody wanting to kill people, which is the most bizarre thinking of all time. That's virtue signaling. And by the way, nothing more aggressive and hateful than that. So let's curtail those kinds of accusations. But what do we do? What do we do? How do we continue to tolerate our we could watch the Tiger King. Yes, I've seen about half of it. Yes, we can decrease anxiety, but unplugging intermittently. I agree with that. That's good advice.
Okay, I want to talk about the Hydrolyte. So they've run out of the electrolyte powder, the new sticks that we were advertising.
Oh, that's interesting.
They said we sold them out, but I think they're just better because they dissolve really fast.
I prefer these things.
But they're fine. I mean, the tablets are great. They just the lemon ones take a little longer to dissolve in your water, but they still have availability at shop.hydrolyte.com, and I think you can also get them on Amazon. They've run out of the some of this other stuff too, but this is a good thing to have on hand. And
Shauna is putting her anxiety into art and meditating. That's a good one. Here's 3% is making a joke. 100% of the deaths are all from dying. Thank you. That's elucidating. High and tight. A lot of high and tight in your mom house fans in there. I see you guys. Immunity. What about immunity? There's a rapid blood test, a finger stick test for the antibody to this. It has not been widely distributed yet, and we're not being encouraged.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, but it's available, and we're not being encouraged to do that testing. I am wondering if
I want to.
Yeah, I would like to too, but I would wonder if they're going to start to give that guidance pretty soon. Right now, we're just trying to expand out to more suspicious cases in the next couple of days, particularly here in LA County.
If anybody has $58,000, we can get 9,000 kits.
Yeah. Volume up, please. Somebody's asking. Okay.
Volume? Okay.
Yep. A couple of those out there. Doesn't herd immunity happen naturally? Yes, it does. What is the box? You mean this? This is the Hydrolyte. That's what I'm advocating for rehydration.
That's
Somebody said
raspberry flavor.
Somebody said, is it good as Pedialyte? Pedialyte's good. This is actually better. It's more
Tastes
concentrated.
better.
It's much a quicker rehydration. It's more like an IV rehydration, really.
Yeah.
Do I think COVID-19 was here before we even knew about it? Absolutely. It was definitely here probably in December, I bet you. And just for the sake of discussion, COVID-19 is the illness caused by SARS-CoV-2 or SARS coronavirus 2. So the actual virus, SARS coronavirus 2, has been here since probably December, causing something like COVID-19. Is New York City in real big trouble? New York City's in big trouble, but they will respond. I don't know if you guys watched Governor Cuomo's news conferences in the morning, but they are pretty inspiring. Louisiana, I know, is in trouble also. Louisiana's having an outbreak, and I don't know what's going on there. I wish you the best. If somebody can enlighten me about how they're responding, but if you're doing anything like what New York is doing, you're going to be in good shape. Scared and anxious, everybody.
What do you think
check
about
titers.
having
You
to
can check antibodies straight away, but that test is not widely available yet. What about what?
What do you feel about having to wipe off your dog's feet after they've been outside?
I don't understand that. I'm not on board with the shoe and feet thing yet. HIV and AIDS, that's right. SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19 are equivalent to HIV and AIDS.
I think that's just overkill. I mean, I know you can catch it from the fur if somebody pets them.
I know that in China they developed a preoccupation about the clothing and the shoes, and I don't see where that is an issue. Maybe I'm missing something. Somebody can enlighten me about that. If we start leaving our shoes outside, yes, you want to clean your dog's feet, but we're not doing that right now.
Well, in New York, like if you walk your dogs, they want you to be sanitary, but it just seems like overkill.
Somebody's asking a question about too many electrolytes. Yes, you can have too much potassium. You can take on too much sodium relative to water and cause shifts that can make your brain swell. So yeah, you can have improper balances or excesses of certain electrolytes. Yes, you can. This is not going to do that.
I'm going to play the ad at the end of the show.
Why is the media trying to ship everybody into a frenzy? I've been asking that for a month. I've been asking it for a month, and I think people are not listening quite as much to their, because to me the two things got sort of seem like standards to me. One is the New York Times continuing to put that Imperial College of London's incredible doomsday data that was based on completely false assumptions. Dr. Birx mentioned that at the podium at the White House today. Totally false assumptions with no adjustments for any interventions or behavior. That was on the front page of the New York Times all the way until end of last week. That is ridiculous. And then the Post posted 750,000 hospitalization rate. I don't see that. You're at 25,000 cases now, and I think it's 30% hospitalized of those 25,000, something like 15,000 hospitalized. Not 750,000. So these doomsday scenarios that have been pushed out, it's just been very distracting, very, very disturbing. And it's not adding, to have to fight those back all the time is making me depressed, and I can just imagine it's making you anxious. Somebody said they like seeing Dr. Oz being calm and optimistic. I do too. It confirms my impressions. When he has the same opinion I do, it's, so you build a consensus.
Especially since he's in New York.
Can I smoke weed every day? Please do not put anything in your lungs. Do not put, and we don't know if edibles have any adverse effect, but I don't know of any. But the smoking, vaping, anything in your lungs right now looks like it is a predisposing problem. Yeah. Big red headlines on CNN. Single day coronavirus deaths in the U.S. hits new record. Well, there's going to be a record every day. It's like saying the stock market hits a new record every time it goes up. No.
Well, I hate when they say, "Oh, well, if we let everybody out, 1 million people will get it," and it's like, you told me 1 million people would probably get it anyway.
No, they told us 60 million people. 1 million would die. That's what they said.
1 million would die. Yeah. So. Really? No. They on the news they said 1 million people would get it or would die. I guess they were saying die this morning.
Yeah.
I have it on. It's just like, please stop. And she was interviewing the woman from the White House.
Birx. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she, of course, slapped that down pretty hard. Two things.
No, she didn't. I think she didn't even hear what she said.
Okay. People are asking about, could this virus have come out of biomedical labs, and could it have been a terrorist thing and all that? Dr. Bruce found an article from 2007 documenting a novel coronavirus in bats that they were concerned was going to jump to humans. So there it is. 2007, 12 years ago, people were watching
rid of those bats when we could.
Is it true that Europe is having deaths because they are an older population? That is generally speaking true. That's one of the things they are dealing with. Stop calling it the China virus. The first time China virus has come out of my mouth is right now. I've never called it that, ever, ever, ever. Chloroquine Z-Pak has drug interaction with sertraline. There are a lot. That's one of the interesting things. Well, not interesting. It's one of the challenges that physicians are going to have is being sure that they don't have interaction with other medication. What about somebody who's on antibiotics or something else that they have to take? So this is why it all has to be doctor prescribed, doctor monitored, physician monitored. Will New York City be able to get ventilators? Yes. And hospital bed issue under control. They're opening up the Javits Center as a giant hospital. That will be very interesting when that happens. I suspect it will. How many people are immune? We have no idea on that data. Are deaths from hospitals lumped into corona? No, there is separate. Though there is some criticism in some of the countries that if corona was present, even though somebody died of something else, they get lumped into the corona data. That's not. I don't think that's happening in this country. But let's say you had coronavirus a week ago, and then you die of a heart attack, you go down as corona data. So I'm sure that's not a lot. Stop demonizing bats. Okay. That's what I was doing, was demonizing
No, I
bats.
was.
What did you say?
I was joking. We should have gotten rid of them. Had the chance. Oh, God. I know, it's just
Everybody, stop with the negativity. Really, stop it. It's time we get together. The trolling and the negativity, it's just disgusting. So this is not the time for that.
I saw the White House lawn with all the guys sitting 6 feet away from each other, and I said, "Oh my God, it looks so funny. They're all sitting so far apart from one another." My son said, "We know you're anti-coronavirus," but I said, "No, we're just noticing that it looked funny that they were sitting six." Okay, gotta go. Bye.
Back to somebody's asking about ARB, the blood pressure medications and ACE inhibitors and their effect on coronavirus. We've had some new guidance today on that. Said keep people on the antihypertensives. They seem to be at no added risk. There was a moment there where they were thinking that it may reduce the ability of the virus to penetrate the lungs. That I've heard less chatter about that lately. The guidance is just stay on the ARB, stay on the ACE inhibitors. National Bat Appreciation Day. Is that true in April? Fantastic. Gatorade is good for rehydration. It's high in sugar. It's not as high in the basic electrolytes. It's interesting now people are getting guidance about leaving New York because you're supposed to go, if you leave the city of New York and go somewhere else, you're supposed to go on a 2-week quarantine. Presumption is you are infectious if you've been in that city, which is kind of interesting.
So you're doing a webinar tomorrow for the National Society of Leadership?
No, I'm not. I can't do it because I am doing the Larry King thing then at the same time.
Well, can we move the Larry King?
Nope.
All right. Well, somebody told me to promote it, and I guess I'm not.
We can promote it because it's they're having their conference.
Well,
so,
let's promote it then.
Go ahead, put it out
right
there.
now. It's it says we've set up a webinar for tomorrow, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about COVID-19 with Dr. Marty Makery, Dr. Justin Sachs, and a member of ours who tested positive for the virus. The goal is to educate our members, as you know, most of them are college students, about the dangers of COVID-19 and to take the situation seriously. Many, as you might know, aren't practicing social distancing.
I think they're doing better, though.
So there's a link to the webinar. So I'll put it on the hashtag is lead from home. And then they'll be streaming from their Facebook page, which I don't see. It's called the National Society of Leadership and Success. So we'll probably post this on your Twitter and our Facebook. So if anybody wants to go check it out, that'll be up. And it's a Zoom situation. So check out our Facebook and our Twitter, and it should be.
Also, I want to put out there again, my daughter is supporting the Urban Resource Institute. It's the largest provider of shelter for victims of domestic violence, homeless families, and adults with developmental disabilities. You can make a difference. This is the time to do so. URINYC.org, or also go to their GoFundMe site. Visit my website, drdrew.com/URINYC. URINYC. So you can help out with people just to get them through this next month when they are struggling. Do you think coronavirus started with East? No. Stop it. Has the YMH crew checked up on Robert Paul Champagne during this crisis? I asked Christina to text him last night, and I didn't get an update. So my assumption was she didn't get any information. But thank you for asking about RPC. We'll see how he's doing. I'll ask her again today. Explain novel to the uninformed. Whoop, I lost it. Okay, so there was some new data that came out of a Japanese cruise ship that showed that the virus can live on surfaces up to 17 days. Okay, so that generally we've been saying 48 to 72 hours on the most surfaces the virus could last that long. What do we do with that data? We don't know yet. There have been very few documented transmissions, or actually it's not even clear that there are transmissions from objects to person. Now, let's all behave as though it can happen. Let's wash our hands, keep our hands away from our face. But the predominant means of transmission is still person to person. So don't freak out about that data coming out of the Japanese cruise ship. Somebody smarter than all of us will help us understand what to do with that. The data that came out, though, that was challenging, and I would say more significant, is they had an asymptomatic rate of like 18.5%. So there was 18% of people on that cruise ship with no symptoms who tested positive. Now, if that's how high asymptomatic rate is in the community, that makes this extremely difficult to control. Outdoors with social distancing is okay. The problem is if everybody's outdoors, it's not okay. You really have to stay with the distancing. Aaron, Dr. Fauci was out there today right on the podium giving a full press conference. So I wasn't convinced that he was in any way restrained from giving us the facts. And again, look to Dr. Birx, who clearly is more the PR person. I didn't see, somebody's commenting about research about Massachusetts and the weather. I did not see that, so I'd be interested in that one. So one of the things we have to wonder is, as the temperature heats up, is this thing just going to naturally die out in the next month or so? It's possible. It is possible. Okay, your dad is 80. Is it safe for him to go to the grocery store? The recommendation would be no. He should stay in place. Stay where he is. It depends where you are, of course. As I said, if you're in Southern California, if you're in California, New York, Washington, definitely you should not. But if you're in, I don't know, wherever there's, let's see where the lowest rate of presence is the state with the lowest number of cases is West Virginia and Wyoming with 20 and 30 respectively. So if he lives in Wyoming or South Dakota, also 30 cases, North Dakota 34 cases, one of those states, you can go to the grocery store. But the recommendation is if you're in an area that's even moderate, the 80-year-old should be resting in place, self-quarantining. I think you're going to see lots more in different kinds of recommendations for different regions as we go forward here. Okay. Sorry. My 86-year-old grandma won't stay home. I've heard stories like that a lot. It's hard to get people, older people sometimes, to stay put. Yeah, don't panic.
When your days are numbered, maybe you want to just use them wisely. You know what I mean?
Now you sound like
that's how I am. I'm
Kate
sorry.
Shanahan.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, come on, 85. I mean, I know we don't want them to get sick and we don't want anything bad to happen, but some people have to make that choice for themselves.
Lots of interesting ideas out there about how to reduce your risks, but the predominant things is exposure. Anybody else getting depressed? I've seen a lot of anxiety out there. Anybody else feeling depressed? I'm feeling depressed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, honey.
I am.
But you've had a lot on your plate this week.
I have, and I've been feeling.
But you can't walk away from it because you have to go back to work tonight. I could just turn off the TV. And
right.
I felt better.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of weird just sitting around as much as we are, but
it is difficult. I just don't. I don't know how we. What it's gonna be like a week from now worries me. There we are. Lauren's depressed. Why are you depressed, Lauren? What is that? To me, I can't even explain it. Yeah, it comes in waves. Somebody's saying.
Because we can't live our lives.
You know what it is? Kelly says depressed. Mostly it sounds like I'm predominantly women are saying they're depressed, which is interesting. Mandy says, why didn't we treat the H1N1 pandemic this way? Interesting question. It's one I've been asking from the beginning. I got H1N1 and it killed 40 to 60-year-olds routinely, and it was rough. I'll tell you, it was rough. I think my depression is what I'm feeling is, as I look forward, I don't have anything to plan. I feel like no planning is making me depressed. I mean, here's what I'm planning to do tomorrow, what I did today. This gives me something to look forward to, and I appreciate you guys congregating here.
You're welcome.
And I appreciate the producer putting it together, and I appreciate you guys all showing up for it.
Well, today you did your Adam and Drew show from here. You didn't even go into work.
No.
So Tom, there's a male on here. He said, "I'm bored."
Boredom can be a sign
Not
of depression.
depressed, just bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian says to help stress, take walks and listen to classical music.
Good. It's always good.
I had a Pilates class today. My Pilates teacher went online and he helped me. So I feel better.
Somebody on YouTube, or a few people keep asking and commenting about me being on Joe Rogan's podcast. That's up to Joe. That's not my decision.
We've had a lot of people asking. Uh-oh. God bless you.
Yeah,
oh, no.
No.
We've got it.
I've sneezed in this room almost every time I've been in it.
I know, it's a little dusty in here.
Is,
we tried to vacuum it, but it's a little dusty because all the equipment. Yeah, so Joe Rogan, if you want to have Drew on your show, he's happy to come on.
I'd rather talk when we get on the other side of this thing, when I could actually go in the studio and whatever, but because it's now.
I don't think you're ever going to be on that show, honey. I don't know why. I have a feeling.
Now it's.
Don't get your hopes up.
Now it's the fog of war, and it makes everything kind of difficult. I'm a performer in Las Vegas. All the casinos have been shut down. Whoops, where'd it go? How long do you think it'll be until performers are able to go to work?
Yeah.
Boy.
They have to.
I heard a rumor that early in April, a lot of more public-style spaces are planning to open up if things settle the way they expect them to. In particular, that hydroxychloroquine starts to flatten everything.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hearing
that's next week.
Early April, not next week, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So we'll see. I don't know. It's not my call, and that is the harder part of this whole thing.
Natalie's not depressed. She says, "I'm not depressed at all." I mean, this is my normal day. I work out of my house anyway, so.
Yes, you should stop daily smoking of anything, because it's pretty clear that the smoke of any type is a risk factor. Vaping too seems to. You should tell Kat, Jesus.
Oh God,
think about that.
Let's not totally ruin her life this week. I wonder.
Am I feeling positive about the outcome? I am feeling optimistic about the outcome, but I knew this week would be the fog of war, and it would feel like I would start doubting it, and I would start worrying about giant numbers. But I keep using the guidepost that I set for myself at the beginning, which was 30,000 on Monday, which was yesterday, and 60,000-ish by Friday. I would accept up to 80,000, which I think about where we're going to be by Friday. That's pretty good. That is pretty good, depending on how things are going in areas outside of New York City. If things sort of not accelerate. If things are not accelerating, that is pretty good. What's so funny?
Somebody said, drink the fish tank cleaner. And somebody else has said that I should be quiet because I'm going to get you in trouble.
I saw an article about the drug Trump talked about hurting people. Isn't that the same drug I was talking about? Absolutely. It has not been hurting people. I've been using it for 30 years. Never seen a single side effect. We send people to the ophthalmologist every year to make sure they don't get any side effects. So this is not a new medication. This has been around forever. Do I worry that Fauci isn't at the briefings? There was just a briefing where Fauci was featured at the briefing, and he gave a complete review of where we are, and I was very reassured by it, actually. Fox News said Ohio had 100,000 confirmed cases. I can confirm to you that that is not true. Ohio has 564 cases. So I don't know where the 100,000 number came from. So that's the kind of stuff that has got to stop. Dr. on Fox said, let me find you. Where is it? What did it say? What did that doctor on Fox say? You have to do it again because it scrolls so fast I lose you guys.
I know.
That's not true. I live in Ohio, Ashley says. Thank you, Ashley, for confirming the real numbers. No, they suspected 100,000 cases. Well, why did you just suspect 1 million cases? You know what I mean? You can suspect all kinds of things, but the data is just not there. If there were 100,000 people walking around with this thing, there would not just be 500 confirmed cases. I guarantee you that. If you want to say there's 5,000 cases running around, I think that's a reasonable thing to say. Or that there is another 10,000 waiting to be, to get the disease. That would make sense to me too. 100,000? No, absolutely not.
Shout out to Melissa. Thank you.
Somebody's saying, somebody made an appointment with a therapist. That's good.
For sure.
The drive-through testing is going to become more common, and people are going to do their own nasal swabs. So that may start in the next couple of days. And so the medical providers won't have to get fully garbed up, and will save all that equipment. That's going to be starting. Should I be donating blood while living with a spouse with mild symptoms but no confirmation? Ooh, that's a tough question. It might be a way to get tested. You certainly don't meet criteria for testing, but it'd be an interesting thing to do. Yeah, you ought to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Somebody wants to know where you get your coronavirus numbers.
I'm looking at 2 websites. I'm looking at worldometrics.info, and I'm looking at Johns Hopkins coronavirus.jhu.edu. So one is the Coronavirus Resource Center at Johns Hopkins University, and the other is an epidemiology site called Worldometrics. So between the 2 of them, I feel like I'm getting pretty good numbers. And the Worldometrics breaks things down by states, how many new cases, how many new deaths, how many deaths.
Is that worldometrics.com?
Worldometers, I beg your pardon, I spoke. Worldometers.info. Worldometers.info.
And then
Johns Hopkins. Just look up Coronavirus Resource Center, and you'll see the Johns Hopkins moniker there.
You said info.info?
Meter.info.
Let me try that.
Worldometer.info. Do we think they will have mandatory testing? I don't know what that means. You mean universal testing? No, I don't think we will pull that off, but we're going to do a lot more testing. What do I consider a fever? Right now, anything is a fever in terms of quarantining yourself. In terms of active illness, where you should be contacting a doctor. If you have a chill with fever, I would think that would be enough, because that means your fever's going up. So it's not even, you don't know where you are on the evolution of things. So I think having an absolute value, anything over 100 for sure. Anything over 101, absolutely.
Answer the wind question about walking his dog. He's been asking that a lot.
What about it? I don't see it.
If I'm walking my dog and the wind blows, somebody sneezes 6 feet away, should I be worried?
6 feet away. No, because theoretically 6 feet should be sufficient to protect you from coughing and sneezing. Now you're making up a scenario where the wind is blowing and at just the right angle and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I guess you could make a case where you should be worried. So stay 8 feet away from people, whatever. Worry about elevators. What was the Oxford study released today? And that's something I should look up. Oxford. Study. Again, welcome to the French underground here. Coronavirus may have affected half of the UK population. Millions of people may have already built up immunity. I think that's what you're saying. Well, that would be good news. Again, it seems like an overstatement of good news, just the way they tend towards overstatement of bad news. So, I don't know. The head of the study, an Oxford theoretical epidemiologist, said she's supporting the decision to shut down, but she says, I'm surprised that there's been such unqualified acceptance of the imperial model. Man, is she right on that. That was a horrific, filled with holes. A whole lot of antibody testing she'd like to see, which would help. The vast majority of cases, because the vast are mild or no symptoms, she's suggesting that there may be a much higher immunity in the population at large than we know. That would be nice. That would be nice. I don't know that I would rely on that, but boy, that would be nice.
What time are you on Fox tonight?
7 o'clock, and then we'll do a Facebook thing. All of it's at
That's
Facebook.
Pacific time.
7 o'clock Pacific, and we will do. Why do you think the term fog of war is not helpful? Why do you think? Somebody's saying that term is not. Does that one make you anxious? Or I thought the word shelter in place is not helpful because it means barricade yourself. And
how's Alex doing today? Is he coming into studio? He looked a little.
He's coming in.
He looked a little frazzled last night.
Yeah, because we don't have. You're gonna have to put my makeup on before I go.
I know it wasn't
we don't
his
have.
makeup.
We don't have hair and makeup.
I think it's just getting to him. It's like it's.
It gets to you. It gets to you talking about this all the time, and
he's so sweet. And he's just like kind of.
Fighting the negativity is really challenging. Having just people rain down horrible vitriol all day, it does not make for a good time.
Right.
And at a time when we should all be getting together and unifying and rowing in the same direction, we'll be looking for all the negative people on the other side of this. We'll be remembering.
I think it's also just the worry, and having to be ready to give the latest news and the updates and keep everybody abreast of everything. I just want to hear some good news when I wake up tomorrow.
Well, we've been having good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, the news has been pretty good. It has not been anywhere near the imperial.
I mean, the stock market went up a little bit today, so that was nice. But
yeah.
Whatever.
No, it is.
Tomorrow.
Let's see what else is going on. No, vacuum bags do not work as masks. Interesting idea, but no.
Oh, somebody wondered if they could use a doggy pee pad.
Use appropriate equipment.
I mean, you could, but it'd be hard to breathe through because it's plastic on the back. But I guess if you poked holes in it or something, and they have a weird odor too in them. So, but it could work, right?
Yep. So, Matthew, you work at a receiving warehouse where you touch thousands of boxes every day. Yes, you need to be worried. You need to wash your hands like a maniac, and I would wear a bandana or something that did not let my hands get to my face. You really got to do that. That is a risk, I would think, job. And let's put it this way: if it's going to be something transmitted by surfaces, you're somebody that needs to watch out. So somebody's asking me to talk about hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine is used in moderately high doses. It interferes with viral reproduction in multiple mechanisms that have been well worked out. The enthusiasm for it is growing and is intense in certain areas. Around here, it's been very intense. Dr. Oz has expressed to me his extreme enthusiasm. He has spoken to French researchers who have been telling him that it is unethical not to prescribe it. It would be unethical to do a double-blinded study because it is so efficacious. This researcher had 500 patients, 0 hospitalizations, 0 complications.
So Drew,
yeah.
there are no vaccines for this yet, right?
Not yet.
There are scam artists out there selling vaccines.
Please don't fall for that. There are no vaccines. The earliest that people were saying is a year away, a year plus. I mean, the uber optimists are saying 8 months, but let's plan on that being about a year. In the meantime, treatment remains the main way we're going to, if we can knock the hospitalization rate and the fatality rate down to the same as influenza, we got this thing. We got it, because then it's just a bad flu outbreak. Let's see. Is the 50% number, I lost it. I'm sorry, stuff scrolls by so fast.
If I can find it.
Let's, and I think I'm going to have to, Benji Bronk, I'm sure, can cure it. What else do you want to know about hydroxychloroquine? It's used in high doses. It's the first day is a pretty high dose. The next days are a little higher than usual, though some people are on that same dose. And the total duration of therapy is about 5 days. People are also using it prophylactically because of the observations out of Africa. In regions where people are using chloroquine to prevent malaria, you don't see COVID-19. So people are extrapolating from that and saying, there must be, perhaps there's some benefit of you taking the medicine every day. It prevents COVID-19 in Africa. Now remember, it's a warmer region, and so the virus already doesn't like that. So it's, how much do we conclude from that? I hope the cure doesn't have egg in it. Okay, so I think
Egg. Oh, because
the
they'd
egg
be allergic to
albumin,
egg.
yeah, allergy. So I think we should wrap this thing up. I got to go do the Fox 11 thing.
Okay, Fox 11 at 7 p.m. And it'll be on Facebook Live on drdrew.com or Dr. Drew Facebook Live, as well as the Fox Live. But go to facebook.com/Dr. Drew and you can see the whole show and ask your questions there as well. Here's the banner so you can see it. It's with Fox 11 special report. And we'll see what kind of information we have coming from that end.
And somebody asked, just as I was talking about using hydroxychloroquine as a preventive measure, can it be used as a preventive measure? I am aware that doctors and nurses are taking it preventatively. We call that prophylactically. So we'll see. It's certainly not been proven yet. I think that is going to come in a bit later than the therapeutic data, so we'll see. All right, well, thank you for being part of the, what should we call this? This is like, I keep saying, it's like the French underground. We're like gathering and sharing ideas and trying to keep ourselves sane during this time.
Dr. Drew.
What do you call it?
Depressed with Dr. Drew.
No, we keep ourselves, this keeps me from being depressed. And Matt, you're now the 19th person to ask why wasn't Fauci at the news conferences, and I will say again, he was at the conference a half an hour ago and fully debriefed, and he was very reassuring. All right, so we'll continue hopefully tomorrow. Although tomorrow's a tougher day. Let me look at the schedule.
Oh, Emily Morse canceled, so it all opened up.
Okay, so we'll do this. So
she doesn't need you.
All right, so I'm taking that off the calendar, and that will give us a chance.
So you can be depressed tomorrow with nothing to do.
I'm not that kind of depressed. I'm just sort of it's grinding. I'm assuming other people are feeling the same thing as I.
It's hard.
I don't know what to look forward to. It's just.
It's just so weird.
Drew's Dungeon, Brown. You want to call it the Drew's Dungeon? I like more of the underground. I like the idea that we're all gathering together and trying to fight this thing on the DL, rather than being swept into the chaos and the drama and the panic. This is the anti-panic room. Instead of a panic room, it's an anti-panic room. All right, so we will see you tomorrow around this time, and thank you for being a part of this, and we'll see you then. We've all been very focused on how to stay healthy these days, but we've not been talking about hydration. If you get coronavirus, flu, or even experience allergies, cold, a variety of everyday ailments, they all need hydration. And that's why it's a perfect time to welcome our friends at Hydrolyte back. This is a great product. You all know I've talked about it for a long time. This was the hydration product I wanted to invent, and they got it there before me. Now remember, dehydration can make you feel sick, even a slight amount, and none of us need that anxiety right now, so stay well hydrated. I am thrilled to welcome our good friends at Hydrolyte back to the show. Longtime fans remember my obsession with Hydrolyte, which is literally the best hydration product I have found. I'm even more excited to introduce their brand new single-serve powder sticks. Simply pour one powder stick into a glass of water. They recommend 7 ounces. The powder dissolves instantly and creates the perfect balance of sodium, glucose, and water to deliver up to 4 times the electrolytes of your typical sports drink. And think about it, you can take this anywhere. You should have it on hand to just pour it into water, and you have a real significant hydration product. The other great news about Hydrolyte, the powder sticks, they are 100% natural, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and they are available in flavors like orange and lemonade, and they taste great. Hydration is crucial. Hydrolyte is the fastest and easiest way to stay ahead of it. And you can find Hydrolyte powder sticks in the digestive aisle at Walgreens or Amazon, or simply just go to my website, drdrew.com/Hydrolyte. Again, that is drdrew.com/HYDRALYTE. You see it spelled here. There it is. And you enter the code DRDrew18 to save 30% off your order. Forget the runs on toilet paper. There should be runs on this. This is doing much more for your health than toilet paper. So go get some, have it on hand. If anybody in your family gets sick, you need to keep them hydrated, and that's how you do it.